Hey humans, it's Hannah. Welcome back to my channel. Now, TikTok has been good for many things. However, I think we can all agree that lately it feels like it's just been doing more harm than good. There's been a ton of challenges and trends popularized specifically by TikTok. There's the dumb ones like the Tide Pod challenge, eating a dry scoop of pre-workout powder, eating a water bottle full of frozen honey for some reason, vampire fangs, pee your pants challenge, which is exactly what it sounds like. Then there's things like the blue whale challenge or the Momo challenge that were actually very, very scary and ended up scaring parents all over the world, but ended up being a hoax, or at the very least, definitely not proven to be true. There was the coronavirus challenge where people were licking toilet seats and other disgusting things during the pandemic. I could go on, but there are some challenges that are disturbing and just downright unsettling, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Today, I want to cover the Skullbreaker challenge, April 24th, Blackout challenge, and a few others. Thankfully, today's video is supported by a sponsor, so we are going to roll to the ad read, and then I will be right back and we'll get into it. Today's video is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan. Remember back in the day when you wanted to go somewhere that you didn't usually go, we had to use MapQuest, look up the route on our computers and then print it out from MapQuest and have the paper instructions in our car. Well, nowadays, everybody has a GPS on their smartphone, so you can go literally anywhere at any time without having to worry about getting lost. The same thing is now true when submitting a claim if you are ever injured or in an accident with Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Submitting an injury claim with Morgan & Morgan is so easy. It's more like ordering food through an app rather than hiring a lawyer, because in 8 clicks or less, you can submit a claim. They have over 100 offices nationwide and more than 800 lawyers. With over $15 billion recovered for clients, Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. If you're ever injured in an accident, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. It's so easy. Like I said, you can submit a claim in 8 clicks or less without having to leave your couch. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/HannahTheHorrible or dial #law. That's #529 from your phone. Links and info will be in the description box right below this video. So first, let's talk about the Blackout challenge. This one is on the older side, but for me, it's probably the most unsettling. The reason for that is just because not only the nature of the challenge is so freaking dangerous, but it's been proven to be as dangerous as people fear, as many kids have actually died from doing this challenge, or at least it's suspected that it was related to this challenge. So the Blackout challenge, which you may also hear it be referred to as the pass out challenge or the choking game, it's when a participant in the challenge holds their breath or uses some sort of household object to choke themselves until they run out of so much oxygen that they pass out for a couple seconds. The reason that you would do this is because it makes you feel high, or you supposedly get this moment of euphoria as you're about to pass out. And supposedly people were filming themselves doing this challenge for TikTok. Of course, any video that ever existed has since been taken down. What's really interesting about this one is that the Blackout challenge is actually not new at all and was not originated by TikTok. According to a study by the CDC, 22 deaths were linked to this challenge in 2005 alone, and 35 deaths were possibly linked to this challenge in 2006. In their study, they have shown evidence that it's possible that as early as 1995, this was happening. One report also says that in the more recent years, this challenge was linked to possibly 20 deaths in 18 months. 15 of those 20 victims were under 12 years old. So this isn't even just teenagers doing it that are telling their friends to do it. It's kids, children. And you probably noticed I keep saying linked to deaths and everything. It is obviously very difficult to prove without a shadow of a doubt that the person was participating in a TikTok challenge and not for some other reason. So it's just kind of suspected, or the parent comes forward and says they believe their child was playing this game or doing this challenge But it's hard to say 1000% that that is the way the child died was specifically because their friends told them to do the challenge and not S word or, whatever. Nyla Anderson was a 10-year-old from Pennsylvania. She was found in her room unconscious in December of 2021 after attempting the challenge. 12-year-old Joshua Helises, I'm sorry if I'm saying that last name wrong, I hope I'm not, died after weeks on life support. He was found after attempting the challenge with a shoelace in April 2021, ended up in the hospital and ultimately passed away. A 9-year-old girl from Milwaukee, Wisconsin also passed away in 2021 from this. A 10-year-old from Italy was also suspected to have been attempting this game when she died. The list, honestly, like I said, this one is so disturbing because the list goes on and on. If you just Google Blackout Challenge or whatever, there are so many kids and teenagers linked to dying or becoming very injured, at least suspected to be because of this challenge. It's bizarre to me also that we actually don't talk about this more. Like, I would have thought something like this is almost a phenomenon, in my opinion. Why isn't this being talked about all over the internet? It's especially upsetting that children are becoming victims of this challenge. And if I were to speculate, I believe it's probably because they hear about it on TikTok or they heard about it from a friend who heard it from a friend who saw it on TikTok or social media or what have you. And kids that young simply don't know any better. They don't know that it could kill them. The person probably just told them that they'll feel like funny for a few minutes or whatever, and it's a way to get high without taking any drugs. And for kids at that age that are just on the brink of puberty, they might think that that would make them sound cool, or they would look cool to their friends if they did this and took a video of it. And it's just extra tragic because they don't understand the risk of doing something like this. It's not like their friend is telling them, but careful because you could die. Like, they're just not doing that. And it's just, so many people have died from this. Thankfully, the good news is that if you look up the phrase Blackout Challenge on TikTok, this pops up and nothing else. Like, no matter what tab you go to, you can't find anything. I have heard that if you mistype it, you can find I'm sure there's codes somewhere for stuff you can look it up, but it does seem like TikTok has, for the most part, blocked this type of content from their platform. Let's move on. Now we're going to talk about the Skullbreaker Challenge. Thankfully, nobody has died because of this yet. However, there have been some pretty severe injuries. So let's talk about this dark side of TikTok. So allegedly, this trend originated in Venezuela. This challenge is typically approached as a prank, and it's usually two people that prank a third person into essentially getting hurt. So how this works, I'll show some screenshots of it here so you can understand what is going on. I'm not going to show full videos of it. You can find them on news clips, but they're really cringy to watch because the person is in massive pain. But essentially what they do is two friends tell the person in the middle that oh, you want to do a jumping contest or you want to see who can jump the highest. And when the person agrees or when they convince the person to agree, they watch the middle person jump in the air. And as they do so, instead of doing the jumping contest, the two people on the outside of them kick their legs out from under them. So the person falls back and at least hurts their body. If not, they typically smack their head on whatever surface they're on, the back of their head, no less. And as most of us know, when you fall, you usually feel it coming. As you're falling, you have the natural instinct to put your hands in front of you, or you brace yourself for the fall, etc. And in this case, of course, since you're so unsuspecting of this about to happen, you don't have the opportunity to do that. So you can't brace yourself, or you can't fall on your hands or limbs or anything like that. And a lot of people end up hitting their heads very hard. There was specifically an unidentified freshman in Florida who was reportedly bullied into this challenge. She ended up in the hospital and she spent weeks in pain, and she ended up transferring schools. There was a 13-year-old boy from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, who ended up in the hospital unconscious with a major head injury after his quote-unquote friends tricked him into being an unsuspecting victim of this viral trend. The boy, of course, suffered a pretty major concussion. A woman named Valerie Clifton posted about her son being a victim of a prank in February 2020 in Arizona. She posted this on Facebook. I don't know how old this boy was. He looks like maybe he was middle school, but his friends, again, in quotes, challenged him to what they called a jumping contest. And when he agreed, they kicked his legs out from under him as he jumped, and he fell and got pretty badly injured. Elsewhere in Florida, in Daytona Beach, in the same month, a 15-year-old student who had a learning disability was tricked into doing the challenge by two other girls. They filmed it and posted it to TikTok. The victim in this situation, her mother went to the school's administration, of course, to complain, and the two girls that did this pretty much got a slap on the wrist. They got 2 days of in-school suspension. They were like taken off of one club or something like that. I don't know what the club was called, but they were able to stay in cheerleading, and they pretty much, again, got like scolded a little bit, but that was it. So the mom took it to the police, and again, I don't blame her. The police, on the other hand, took it a little more seriously and charged the two teenagers with misdemeanor battery. Then students in Mexico made their own version of the challenge. It's similar, except they use a sweater. So there's videos again of this. Two of the students are running up to a third student with their back turned with a sweater between them, and they flip the sweater over the unsuspecting person and use it to trip them and pull their legs out from under them so they fall forward and hit their head. Obviously, I don't really need to say it, but this is super fucked up, and I know kids can be really stupid, but if you're gonna be stupid, don't do something that could actually kill somebody. It's bad enough that kids have ended up in the hospital, but head injuries like that, it just takes the tiniest wrong angle and you can put somebody in a coma or literally kill them. Like, that's why social media scares me. Then we have the Benadryl challenge. This one is also particularly disturbing, and a teenager did allegedly die as a result of this trend. Again, a lot of these seem to take place from teenagers trying to get high from things they have available to them without having to buy actual drugs. So this one's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's when you take enough Benadryl to hallucinate, because if you essentially overdose on Benadryl and take more as directed, if you take enough, you can get high and hallucinate from it. And the trend would be to film yourself high because it would be so funny and then post it to TikTok. I'm sure, like all of these, I'm sure you can't find any of these videos anymore, at least the original ones. I'm sure they've been taken down. In May of 2020, 3 teenagers in Texas were taken to the hospital after they attempted this. In August of 2020 in Oklahoma, an unidentified 15-year-old girl allegedly died. The girl had no prior drug use and no evidence that she'd ever taken or been interested in drugs, and she overdosed specifically on Benadryl. And so again, it's not like 1000% proven, but mom believes she was participating in this social media challenge. Too much Benadryl can cause heart problems, seizures, and with too much, of course, death. But that's true of most medications if you don't follow the instructions on the box. Okay, so now let's talk about this trend going on that's kind of popped back up again now that it's a new year and April is just around the corner. But there's this thing that is just called April 24th. And if you see it, what people are referring to is National Day. Like I said, this is trending again on TikTok as there's a lot of videos out there of people warning other people, especially women, to look out, be extra cautious on April 24th. Not only this year, but I guess every year from now on. Now, to be clear, this one, it's not necessarily a hoax because people do actually talk about it, and there's some dark corners of the internet that there's men on there talking about it like it's a real thing. So it's not really a hoax. However, there's been no evidence that SA has actually ever gone up on this day. There's been no incidents specifically linked to this national holiday. Information about this one is also sparse. From what I can find, supposedly there was this original video of 6 men from April 2021, and in the video they dubbed April 24th every year National day. According to some, they were giving tips in the video for doing this on this day, and then also claiming that it was like a purge type thing where on this day there'd be no consequences because it was legal, which of course is not true. But these men were supposedly encouraging other men to take part in this day. If you search April 24th on TikTok, you'll find all these warning videos, but then you'll also eventually always be led back to this specific TikTok account that has now been deleted. The TikTok account used to go by I'm Kevin Harp. That's Kevin Harp with a P, not Kevin Hart. And their most popular video was this TikTok of 3 guys in a mask in these random poses as if they were scary and badass, which they really were pretty pathetic. A lot of people made fun of them for it because they're like hiding their identification while trying to be all scary. Like, what are you trying to do? Anyway, they're saying this in the video. I'll show you the video right here. And they're basically saying that women have done us wrong all this time. So on this year, we're going to take our revenge and yada, yada, yada. There's all kinds of rumors about this Kevin Hart guy. There's some people that say that he's one of the original 6 men in the original video. But again, I have no way of proving that because all these videos have been deleted, so I have no idea. I can't just take random people's word for it. There's like another rumor on a different TikTok that he had been arrested for his involvement in these videos, which again, nothing comes up when you look up the name. No idea. I personally think that Kevin, whoever this dude is, and his account is just taking his friends and promoting this day. And I think they're just pieces of shit like the original makers of the video. I don't think that they were part of actually creating it. But again, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. But another funny thing is that a lot of people were saying in comments of other videos about them that they ended up turning off their comments before their account got banned, which me, amongst many others, think is just hilarious because they like couldn't take the heat of all the feedback they were getting. Like they couldn't handle everybody being so mean to them. So they turned off their comments because they didn't want people telling them that what they were doing was terrible. Again, like I said, thankfully there's no evidence that anybody has actually been harmed in direct relation to April 24th or this trend. Honestly, I think it's just something that some weird internet trolls pulled from their own assholes. But, you know, it always doesn't hurt to be aware of this kind of thing. Plus, it's also just worth noting that this kind of thing is still happening in 2023, which is so absurd to me that I still wanted to mention it in this video. And last, I want to talk about the NyQuil Chicken challenge because this one is so fascinating. This one's not so much disturbing as it is just gross, but the details of this one are so weird. So if this doesn't make you gag and want to throw up, I don't know what will. But there was this challenge or trend allegedly on TikTok of people soaking raw chicken in NyQuil or some other over-the-counter cough cold medicine and then cooking the chicken in it as a marinade. It's also referred to as sleepy chicken by a lot of people, but most people know it as NyQuil chicken. This is probably, I mean, it's dangerous. We'll get to that in a second, but this is probably one of the dumbest challenges and trends I think I have ever heard in my entire life. I hate NyQuil. I hate the taste of NyQuil or anything that tastes anything close to licorice. I hate it. So that might be why this makes me gag so hard. But I also just don't understand why. Like, what's the point? And I looked it up. I can't find a reason why. Like, maybe so you can eat and become tired at the same time and help your cold. Or it was, I think honestly though, it was literally just the dumbest, most gross thing somebody could come up with because raw chicken grosses a lot of us out and that excessive amount of cough and cold medicine grosses a lot of us out. So that's my guess, is again just a troll thing. But let's talk about why this is dangerous if you actually did this. So obviously it's potentially dangerous, as we talked about with the Benadryl challenge, to use any medication that is over the counter or prescription in a way that is not directed on the box or the bottle. Like that, I mean, yeah, grass is green, water is wet. I don't need to tell you that. But interestingly enough, cooking medications can increase their concentration and change the properties of the medication. Even the vapors can become extremely dangerous. Chubby Emu did a wonderful video specifically on NyQuil Chicken not too long ago. So I'm going to take a clip from his video and let him explain it because he's a doctor. So here's a clip from Dr. Bernard about that.
In the FDA consumer update, it says boiling a medication can make it more concentrated. Boiling won't create a higher dose, it won't create more of the active ingredient, but it will take some liquid out. More concerning is the idea of stability. Heating something up means that the molecules move faster. This increased kinetic energy can make everything less stable, and the chemicals may break apart in order to stabilize, and you won't know exactly what you're getting at that point. Whichever the case is, don't cook anything with any prescription or over-the-counter medicine.
I'll have his full video linked below if you want to go watch it. It's a fun watch. So the weird and ironic thing about this supposed trend is that most people, there's no evidence that it was ever a thing before doctors and the FDA started warning everybody about it. Like the FDA coming out with a warning about cooking chicken in NyQuil and how dangerous it is made the SEO for that phrase go way up. Like that's when everybody started searching for it and probably trying it themselves and filming it to gross people out. Like the FDA were the ones that brought awareness to a lot of people in the first place. So it's highly debated as to whether this was even a thing at all before the FDA warned people against it. It seems like there's not really any evidence that anybody was really doing this before that point. And they must have heard it from someone or saw it on one challenge or another, or some stupid 5-minute crafts type channel put something like that out there. So they felt compelled to warn people. There's nothing wrong with warning people, of course, but I just find it very fascinating that them warning us not to do it is what made people talk about it and do it to begin with. So that's gonna do it for today's video. Actually, sorry, this video is a tad bit shorter. I've just got tons going on this week and in March in general, but I will try to get some longer videos out in March as well. Please like the video to help the channel. Let me know if there's any other challenges down below that you've heard of that are also disturbing that I missed in this video. I'd be very curious to know. And other than that, I will see you all next week. Don't forget to check out Morgan & Morgan, and thank you so much to all our patrons. Top tiers are Colin Holmes, The Deck of Cards, Michelle Valdovinos, Tom L, Little Kittle Cat, Mitchell Schaefer-Meyer, Mike, Alice Paul, Brittany Phillips, Willow Winchester, Bambi, Momo Neon, Philip J, Marita 144, Sage K, Elderly Hipster, Reese Rolls, The Puppy Hag, Rebecca Jackson, Headless Fancy, Toby, Carter, Kawakan Anime and Gaming Convention, Sonder, Sarah the Crazy Fish Lady, Blood for the Koi, Larkrar, Maxie, Ashley Danielle, Ellison Luna, Julieta, Cece Picard, Sophia Wood, a bunny apparently, Leon Vanek, and our newest, Destiny Riley.